Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to week 3 of our online adventure for health class here. I hope you guys had an awesome little break here. We were off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and now it is Tuesday, and we are ready to roll with another week of health. So what we're going to be kind of talking about this week is we are moving on from chapter 5 into chapter 6. So we talked a lot about kind of how food was or what is in food, what's the nutritional value of food, and now we're going to talk about like how we manage a healthy weight. So today we're going to go through a little bit of an overview of managing a healthy weight, some of the issues that we see out there in America, and then what I need you to do for this week is you're going to answer a question about what is the hardest thing that staying home and how that affects your health. So what's the hardest thing you've had to deal with? Whether it's like for me, it's been staying home and snacking, right? The food is there, easy to eat. Where I'm busy in school, I don't really have time to eat. So now I'm much more likely to run to the pantry and grab something. That's been super difficult for me. Maybe for you, it's not having FIAD, not having weights class, not having sports, right? So answer a question. So you're going to answer that question in the assignment. I want you to respond to one of your classmates as well, because that's one of the things that we can do in there. That's going to be worth 2 points. And then the final thing we're going to do this week is watch HBO a couple of years ago did a documentary called Weight of the Nation. It's a 4-part documentary that really looks at kind of all of the issues with obesity in America. And they did a really, really nice job on it. And one of the sections is just on children. All right. And unfortunately, I know you guys are teenagers. I call you guys young adults sometimes, but really you are children, right? So we're talking about anybody under 18, and they do a really nice job kind of laying out all the issues that these kids face. And so I'm going to put that up for you. It's an hour. I know it's a lot. It's interesting. Watch it. And then there's like 10 questions to answer about it to make sure that you guys kind of paid attention. And then the 10th question is like a summary. Your thoughts, do we still have these issues in America, right? So this is a couple years ago. This is before we really saw some massive changes in the way that we serve lunch to kids in school. So you're going to see some lunches and go, oh my gosh, like those look delicious. I mean, that's what I grew up with, right? So when I was in high school, we didn't have a lunch line, all right? We just had a la carte. And so what that meant is that every day you could get a burger and fries, chicken burger and fries. We had Domino's pizza delivered to the school. And then sometimes we had mozzarella sticks, breadsticks, 5 or 6 salads. Like, no, I'm talking like total, right? So like I went to a school similar size as Crookston. There was 5 or 6 total salads. So if you weren't in the first guy in line, you likely weren't getting a salad. Candy bars, everything. You could buy all that on your lunch account. Looking back, it's crazy, right? Also, just random weird thought that popped into my head. Tangent Tuesday, right? It is Tuesday today. My lunch number was 1177. I don't remember. I don't know why I remembered that right now. I can't barely even remember my lunch number at school here. But hey, so if you go back to International Falls, you can plug in my lunch account and see if I have any money in there. But yeah, so that was our lunches. There was no vegetables. There was nothing. There was no fruit. So think about how that affected kind of how you ate, right? So for me personally, like when I got to high school and I started, being in athletics, and I mean, obviously I was in athletics all the way up, but if it was a game day, like I'd go home. I'd go home for lunch. We could go home when we were juniors and seniors, just like here. And I would go home and eat lunch because I knew I was going to get something a little bit better for me than crushing a burger and then having to go run the mile at a track meet, right? So that wasn't great. So watch that, respond. I'm excited to see your guys' responses for that. But today what we're going to do is we're going to go through a little bit of the chapter 6 PowerPoint slides, things like that. So managing a healthy weight, chapter 6. 68% of the US population is considered overweight. 68%. That's insane, right? Oh, I got the wrong thing going on the bottom there. There you go. Checklist for week 3. That's an insane number. Now, we need to take this with a little bit of a grain of salt. All right. We're going to talk about it here in a little bit, but this goes by body mass index. All right. And body mass index is it's not great. I don't love it. We'll talk about it more, but it's, so like I'm considered overweight according to body mass index. I'm actually like borderline obese, right? I'm 5'11", 195 pounds. That's on that body mass index scale. That's telling me that I'm like considered overweight. So we got to take this a little bit grain of salt. We know that we have an issue with people being overweight and obese in America. All right. It's a major problem because it increases the risk for many illnesses, heart disease, type 2 diabetes being the main ones. We're also now seeing that being overweight or obese is putting people at a bigger risk for the coronavirus that we're seeing going around. People who are overweight tend to live shorter lives than those who are not overweight, right? Because they're going to be dealing with all of these health issues. All right. We kind of look at the bar graphs of percentage of adults. As you get older, right, that number starts to go up. Men are typically going to be considered, are typically more obese than women, right? So think about that. Like, we're at 68 here, 20 to 39, but that number is going massively up as we go up. So some of the issues that you can have if you are overweight or obese, early death, right? Sleep apnea, snoring, right? If you got it, some people just are natural snorers, right? But some people, like, I know that if I'm, especially during the winter, I feel like I end up putting on a little bit more weight and I start to snore more. Then my wife punches me. And that's like my, hey, you need to start working out more. There's more risk for surgical when you're getting surgeries if you're overweight. Coronary artery disease, high blood cholesterol, diabetes, different types of cancer. So men, colon, rectum, prostate. Women, breast cancer, uterus cancer, your uterine cancer, ovary cancer, gallbladder issues, right? Arthritis, right? You're carrying around all that excess weight on your joints. That's tough on them. A stroke, high blood pressure, excessive sweating, cirrhosis of the liver. You can actually, when we watch Super Size Me here later on, we'll see that eating like an unhealthy diet can damage your liver similarly to drinking, which is crazy to think about, right? Kidney problems, low back pain, gout. If you've never heard of gout before, look it up. Super painful. Varicose veins, all right? All of these things are really tough for you. So we look at kind of the percentage of adults who are considered obese or overweight. Going back to 1960, we're at 50%, and now we're almost over 70% for men. Why are we seeing that steep incline? All right. What's the difference between now and 1960? And that's what I want you guys to think about, right? Really what it's going to come down to is fast food, all right? And convenience food, all right? Back in 1960, we just didn't eat as much because it wasn't readily available, all right? And our lives were a little, because of technology, we're a little less busy, right? We weren't, running to soccer and things like that. And things just weren't as crazy all the time. So what we see here is that as our lives have increased, as technology has increased, we are starting to see people gain weight because they are eating those convenience foods. And we know that those are the foods that can make you sick, right? And make you overweight. The other thing is that as technology has grown, we see less people working manual labor jobs, right? So, we think about it takes, however many people to combine a field now. You're just sitting in a tractor, right? For the most part, or sitting in a combine for the most part. We think back to even 1960, that's a lot different, right? Farming is much different. Where I grew up, we had a paper mill, all right? So basically, if you have like an 11x7 or like it's regular printer paper, it probably came from International Falls, right? They just package it in different packages for whatever company they're filling an order for. So when I was, or back in the 1960s, it took a lot more people to create this paper as opposed to now. It takes like 3 guys on a machine that's pumping out, hundreds of thousands of sheets an hour, right? So as technology changes, these manual labor jobs have gone away, right? Now, if you think about it, if we were in class right now, I'd poll and say, how many people in here have a parent who has like a manual labor job, right? Most people sit at a desk, right? I can tell from this coronavirus stuff, I'm not in gym class. I am way more sedentary. Like I look at my watch, right? Check my steps. On average, if I'm teaching Phi Ed and health class during the day, I'm looking at like 18 to 20,000. Now I'm sitting there at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, just taking steps in my living room while I watch TV because I need to get to my 10,000 steps for the day, right? So that's also played a role in our weight, right? So some of our reasons for increasing overweight: overconsumption of calorie-dense food in relation to our energy expenditure, like we talked about. Increase in portion size, that's huge, right? We've seen that. The abundance of inexpensive foods, reduction in jobs that require physical labor, like we talked about. Not as much leisure time physical activity. People are home, they're watching TV. We think back to 1960, like I know my grandparents had one TV in the house and it was like this big. I'm trying to get in the screen here. Okay. So not as much time, sitting on your phone, watching TikTok videos. Found myself doing that a little bit here over the break. Increase in suburban living, so people living in like these densely populated areas. That's also been an increase in rate. Reduction in school physical education, after school physical activities, right? We've seen, we are lucky here. Kids get physical education almost every day, at least in the elementary schools. And, you know, not as much time at the high school, which I'd like to see more, but it's just not necessarily feasible with our facilities. But yeah, we see a reduction in that in places. As you'll watch in the Weight of the Nation video, there's still some places that kids get PE 1 time a week, right? That's insane. Time spent watching TV, computer, video games, Netflix, whatever. Increase in the pace and stress of life, right? So this is a question that we're going to ask you guys a little bit later. We talk about, you know, the calories that we're getting, you know, if we're looking at, so like 1,600 calories, let's just look at 2,000. That seems to be about average, right? So if you eat a quarter pounder with fries, milkshake at McDonald's, you are going to have, that's 68% or 58% of your daily calories. 2 slices of pizza and a diet soft drink. I mean, we talked about this in class the other day. Like, we could eat a whole frozen pizza, right? That's 25% of your daily calories. That's insane, right? So concerns about being overweight are most often concerns about being over fat, right? We want lean body mass because it's just healthy for you, all right? We're going to come back. We're going to talk about, well, no, we should get a little long here, but let's talk about this, all right? So body fat, all right? So essential fat, right? You need fat. You need fat in your body, okay? Men, essential fat, you need about 3 to 7%. Women, 10, 12%. Why is that? Women have babies, all right? That's genetically, they just need more fat on their body, okay? Storage fat, which is like your energy stored as fat, 5% to 25% of your body weight is, for a healthy weight individual, is considered, is you want that amount for storage fat, like that energy, right? 1 pound of fat equals about 3,500 calories. So if you're going to try to lose a pound of fat, like we talked about when we were back in school, right, you need to burn 3,500 calories. So what's a healthy weight, right? Anybody that exceeds 30% of their body weight with storage fat is considered obese, all right? Body mass is a way of calculating your body fatness. So it takes your body weight divided by your height squared, all right? Healthy is about 19 to 25, right? So we talked about, I'm 5'10", 195. I'm coming in at BMI of like 27, 28, right? I consider myself healthy. I'm pretty active, but that's why body mass index isn't necessarily a great indicator of health, right? That's why I don't have you guys figure out your BMI. Like, just makes you feel bad, all right? I don't think it's a good indicator, but when we're talking about huge populations, we need to look at BMI because it's the best way to, you know, we can't account for people being athletic, things like that, or you know, the muscle mass that they have, but it's the best we got, all right? So don't be freaking out if, like I said, you're in this, you know, body mass index of, you know, 25 to 29 or 40 plus, right? So what they do say though is that if you are 25 to 29, you are at like an increased risk of poor health, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and arthritis. And as you go higher up on that body mass index scale, you are going to be at a higher rate for that. So waist to hip ratio is another health-related index of body size. Okay, so healthy is women below 0.8. So it's the circumference of your waist divided by the circumference of your hips. So you take hips, your hips, and then your waist. Find that number. So it's healthier to be pear-shaped than apple-shaped, and healthier to not have a beer belly, right? So you don't want to be like this apple. You are healthier to be in this pear shape, but right, we don't want to be there at all. Okay, I'm going to stop it there. Next week, we'll talk a little bit about the regulation of body fat, talk about why diets don't work, which we did a little bit last week, sensible weight management, things like that. All right. So again, what do you need to do this week? All right. You got to answer that question. Okay. Watch this video, obviously. And then you got to watch the Weight of the Nation video and fill out those questions. All right. So have a great week, everybody. This is a short week. Remember, we're starting on a Tuesday here. Everything will be due by Friday at midnight. So really the big thing is watch this, watch your, answer the question, do your videos, done and done. All right. Have a great day, guys. See ya.